Well, repayment is another thing because we recall that in the 70s and 80s when this board was instituted, one of the reasons why it went under was the fact that some students could not meet up their own part of the deal. And here we have a requirement where after your NYSC, 2 years after your NYSC, you have to pay. That is if you're working 10% of your salary and all of that, your income. And then if you're unemployed or if you're self-employed, it is 10% of the profit you make. But there are concerns with regards to this aspect. There are those who say that what if this person does not have a job? We know the level of unemployment in the country as it stands. And now you're asking them to pay 2 years after their NYSC. What is the guarantee that they will get a job at that time?
To commence
payment. And what if they are not making the necessary profit, rather, to pay back?
I think there is a plan, especially from this president. Now, he got into office less than 20 days, he signed this into law. Now, of course, this has been an act of the parliament before his assumption into office. And you also recall that during his campaign, some of his campaign promises, he mentioned the student loan. In fact, he mentioned an effective credit system, that we don't need to buy a car by paying the whole sum. As a civil servant, you can, of course, seek loan and then get to. These are some of the things that he believes will discourage, corruption. Now, I believe that he must have initiated this idea, of course, through some of his people in the parliament, the Ninth Assembly, before he came on board as a president. I want to assume, I'm not speaking for him because I'm not a spokesperson, but I want to assume that he also has a plan to reduce unemployment in this country. Because if you are giving out loans to students and you are saying they should repay back post-NYSC, 2 years after NYSC, that means that you would work hard as government or as the head of government to ensure that these people secure jobs so that they can repay this loan. And I'm also aware that part of the campaign promises of Mr. President is that through, which sector did he?
Tech.
The tech sector, yes, the tech sector that was going to create millions of jobs. Yeah. So I think we should just watch and see how he unveils his other plans. Of course, in collaboration with the National Assembly that would come up with the laws, and definitely we will begin to see tremendous changes. There will be jobs available for youth because I can't give you a loan, and when I know that you are supposed to pay me back, definitely I will offer you a job. I will create an environment. The jobs may not come necessarily from the public sector because, of course, the private sector drives the system. So I believe that there are policies that will encourage private sector to thrive, that will now lead to employment, massive employment of young people, and then these loans could then be something that they can afford to repay.
All right, couple, let's hear your opinion in this, because this repayment, I've engaged some students, in fact, even yesterday, and it was part of the concern that they had, talking about the issue of repayment. Somebody said that you're going to, all the prisons are going to be full. Because if you can't pay the fine of about 500,000, if you default, then you have to go to prison.
2 years in prison.
So talk to us, what concern do you have in the area or regarding the payment plan or the repayment plan, as the case may be?
Well, thank you very much. I think one of the important things that we should think about is the sustainability of the scheme. And I expect that the presidency should also be thinking in that direction. It is important that these students, the applicants of these loans, of course, they belong to a scheme. And as such, the government should be concerned about their transition from graduation, year of service, to the workforce. Of course, we'll be putting forward some suggestions, like I said earlier. It is important that, just like what the Lagos State government did some years back, I am a beneficiary, where graduating students are trained for about 13 weeks, and then you have corporate organizations come and conduct an interview for them. I was lucky then I got an internship with the FCMB. Of course, that formed the basics of my transition into the corporate world as well as the workforce. So beyond granting the loan, the sustainability of the scheme is key. And as such, maybe there's a need for a special intervention scheme where after your year of graduation, you are admitted, or organizations come in to conduct interview for these applicants, and they get fixed so that they can be genuinely monitored. Because at the end of the day, if I graduate and I don't have a job, like my colleague have shown concern, how then do I tend to pay? Before you know it, this scheme will crumble. The benefit and purpose of the loan, of the scheme, will crumble if we don't have people pay back their loan. And I know that, of course, the federal government, the leadership of the current government is a very intelligent one. They have tried it in Lagos, because I know you agree with me that is the architect and brain box of so many things that has been happening in Lagos. I know that Lagos is putting in so much in that direction. I know that the federal government can also replicate it. I know that the resources to do it is there. So it is important that they are monitored, and as well, they are transited into the workforce. I think there's something my colleague mentioned the other time that I really want to mention on the issue of the guarantor. Of course, I agree with you 100% that guarantor is essential. But my concern is that if you look at the loan, I'm not sure that the max for tertiary institution in Nigeria can be over ₦1 million. And one thing that is not also stated in that bill is that, okay, what duration do you have to pay this loan? And this is because tuition across institutions are different. So it means that the loan you are applicable for also varies. And as such, maybe a time frame of when you are expected to pay that bill, that loan cannot be identified yet. But I feel that guarantor, the level 12 thing, I know families that there are communities that maybe of 20 people, it is just 5 students, 5 youths that are opportune to attend university. It is because quite a number of us are in the city. That's why we are not thinking in that direction. In a community at times, these rural communities, you hardly find a level 10, a level 8 officer by the nature of how their community is. So how do you expect such students? I feel that on the issue of the guarantor, maybe we bring the level down a little. Maybe we had clerics. Maybe we had, because I know that if you want to get bail for people in court and so on, they can ask you to bring a cleric, a royal father. Or if we had all of these things to the type of guarantor, it will be flexible, because of course every community is expected to have a paramount ruler or somebody that is in charge, that is a leader of the community. When these people are also able to serve as guarantor, because they are a leader of the community, they don't have anywhere to run to. It can be flexible for people, please. That's my own thinking.
All right. Now, quickly, Abayomi, because we're running out of time. Okay. This matter of corruption and not politicizing this whole matter is what has also been brought to the fore, because as we mentioned earlier, in the 80s and 70s when this happened, that was also part of what crumbled the board with regards to these loans. How do we insulate the system now from corruption and from politicizing it?
I think this boils down to the capacity and the interest of the CNC in this scheme. Yes, statutorily we know the board members by virtue of their the offices they hold. So now the occupant of those offices, as the case is who we should now screen. So if somebody is coming up as a CBN governor, I hope it's not somebody that is kleptomaniac. Somebody is coming up as the Minister of Education, I hope it's not somebody that is greedy. I hope they are people of, yes, the right character and of integrity. So let those that will occupy those offices that will form membership of that board be of people that live above board, so that the scheme will even outlive this current administration, and they won't have to start, thinking about scrabbling it or and all that. So I think it's just about the membership of that board.
All right. We'll have to leave the conversation here now because we have run out of time. But we must thank you, gentlemen. The President, Yewa Wuri Youth Council, Public Affairs Analyst, Abayomi Okeashiwaju, for joining us, as well as former National Association of Nigerian Student Coordinator, Southwest, Comrade Kapo Olawale. Thank you for your time on the program.